Hi, hello, how are you? I am Scout and welcome back to the channel. Kiwi is joining us again today. He's getting more comfortable sitting there while I film, so fingers crossed he's in a lot more videos to come. But today's video is all about my 2026 reading goals. I came up with 5 different reading goals, and I'm also going to show some books that are going to help me accomplish those goals. So my first reading goal is all about how many books I want to read next year. I heard recently, my friend was telling me about it on our monthly FaceTime, that it's become kind of contentious about reading goals because some people are reading 200 books in a year and people are saying that that's jobless behavior. My thoughts on that are a lot of those people read audiobooks or have lots of commuting time, and I think it's fine if you're reading a lot of books. I do think the more books you read in a year, the harder it is to absorb the prose, and you're reading a lot faster, so you maybe aren't comprehending the whole book. So I tend to set kind of a lower goal because I would rather enjoy every book that I've read instead of trying to read so many. My goal is 24 books for the entire year, which would be 2 books a month, which I think always works really well because I do run a book club where there's a book picked for it. So it would be my book club book and then a book that I'm just reading for fun for myself. So to me, 24 books is always just such a sweet spot. And I'm going to show you 3 books that are going to be my free reads that I'm going to read in 2026. So the first one is Brutes by Diz Tate. I have been told this is just my favorite book of all time. I cannot say the title of my favorite book of all time because YouTube would hate it. So I cannot say what my favorite book is. If you've seen that video, you know what book it is. People have said this book is really similar to that book. But with a mystery plot, and I love mysteries. I actually, in my free time, I don't know if I should say it, in my free time I write. I'm writing a mystery story and I hope to eventually be published one day with my mystery story. So I love mystery stories. They're so near and dear to my heart. And so I was so excited when I heard oh, it's your favorite book. It's that prose, but it's a mystery. And I was like, I want to read it. So I definitely think this is going to be one of the first books I read in 2026 because I'm very excited about it. Another one is Ex-Wife by Ursula Parrott, I think is how you say her last name. I am so excited to read this. One of the kind of book channels that I watch said that she was going to read this book, and it seemed really interesting based off the premise, which this book was written in the time period that it's set in, and it's all about how the experience of being a ex-wife shapes you in that time period. And so I'm very interested to read it, especially after reading The Best of Everything by Rona Jaffe. I am super intrigued on reading more time period books about women and issues that they face because I am so intrigued on how they relate back to present day. So I'm really, really excited for this book as well. Also, I'm so sorry if the lighting keeps changing. I'm filming at a different time. The last book that I want to read, or it's going to be one of my first kind of reads, will be The Hours by Michael Cunningham. I am so excited to read this. This was, again, a recommendation from a book account that I really like, and I'm so excited to read this. It follows different women as in different periods of their life, and so I'm really excited, kind of for the same reason that I'm excited about Ex-Wife. I am hoping to hear kind of this relatableness of women from the past to the present. I'm also interested because this is written by a man, and I sometimes have issues with how men write women, and I've heard that this is written really empathetically, so I'm very excited to read it and get to experience it. I think this book will end up being a all-time favorite. I'm actually kind of nervous because I said I was going to do a video where an updated 13 favorite books, and I'm kind of scared this is gonna disrupt my book list and totally revamp it. So this book I'm so excited to read. A little nervous though. My next goal is I want to read more classics. I want to create a video about how to read classics because I think sometimes people feel barred from entrance of reading classic books because the prose is so hard. And so I wanted to read more classics this year, mainly 1, because I do really enjoy classics, and 2, the more I read of the classics, the better advice I can give that works for majority of classics. So I brought over about 3 classics that I really do want to read this year. Some of them I have read before, and some of them I've seen film adaptations of them before. And so I'm just kind of trying out different tricks with each of these books to help make that video. So I'm really excited about that video too. So some of the classics I really want to read are Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I'm really excited to read this. If you don't know what Little Women is about, it follows a family, I think it's four women. I always end up counting their mom as one of them, because you also get to hear about her. And it's about their lives as they go from like little women to like adulthood. Very excited to read this. Another would be Sense and Sensibility, which people always kind of say is like a companion to Pride and Prejudice with theming. And so I'm really, really excited to read this. This is by Jane Austen. And then the other one is Emma by Jane Austen. I remember this so vividly. I took a British literature class and you got to put like ranked, like your 1, 2, 3 like ranking of which books you'd want to read. And I put Emma as I think number 1, and I didn't get Emma. I didn't get to read Emma. I read Frankenstein, which I loved Frankenstein. Frankenstein was so good, but I really, really, really wanted to read Emma. And a really fun fact is that Clueless is an adaptation of Emma. I think most people know that, but there are still people, when I say that, they're like, what? I've also seen the movie adaptation of Emma. I'm really excited to read this for the first time because I do know the general plot, so I will be able to track it really easily. But I'm so excited to read this. I think that Jane Austen writes like the most romantic things, and I really, really love her romances. So I'm very excited for this and obviously for Sense and Sensibility. So definitely some classics that I want to read. Okay, for my number 3 is I want to kill my physical TBR list. I have a physical TBR list. I think most people who read books do, where they buy a book even though they haven't read all the books on their shelves. And I don't love having a ton of books on my shelves that I haven't read yet. I like my shelves to be a representation of everything I love in reading. So I like it to be my favorite books that I like to loan out to other people. I don't want it to be full of books that I haven't read. And I actually did like a calculation on all the books up there, and I think it's 40% of them are unread. So it's not a super big physical TBR. I have definitely seen worse stats where people are like, almost every book is unread. But I would like to eliminate the unread from my bookshelf. And so I want to create in my like shelf care videos, like reading through my physical TBR. So I picked 3 books that I want to be the books that I first do to eat up my physical TBR. Obviously, these 3 books also count, but these are 3 other books that I want to read to kill my physical TBR. The first one is Butter by, I'm gonna say it wrong, I'm so sorry, Asako Yuzuki. It's translated by Polly Barton. I think I picked this up in Ireland. But this is a book about a woman who was like a really famous chef who murdered someone and is in jail, and about a reporter who like strikes up a rapport with them. And so I'm really excited to read this. I think it will be so interesting. I just said earlier that I kind of love like a murder and a mystery. So I'm very excited to read this, and I think this would be a great book to start to kill my physical TBR with. The next book would be Lucky Dogs by Helen Schulman. So this book follows 2 women whose lives intersect during a massive scandal. I think this book is gonna be so good. Actually, fun fact, I bought this book like online, I thrifted it, and I just like liked the cover art and bought it. I did not notice until I got it. This is an uncorrected proof, which means that it's not supposed to be for sale. This is not the first time that I have received an uncorrected proof. That has happened to me a couple of times where I have received one when I should not have received one. But I'm really excited to read this. I hope that the lack of corrections doesn't interact with my reading journey, but I'm really excited to read this. And my last one for my physical TBR would be Save Me the Waltz by Zelda Fitzgerald. I've been really interested in Zelda Fitzgerald there was a lot of debate a little while back, and it still comes up, about if F. Scott Fitzgerald actually wrote a lot of his work or if it was plagiarized from Zelda Fitzgerald's life and from her own diary entries. And there's a lot of contention about that, and I think the answer is unfortunately kind of in the gray zone and also like lost to the sands of time. So I really did want to read her work to kind of understand that difference, and I'm really excited to read this. This I've heard is like pretty autobiographical for her work, so I'm really interested in what she has to say, and to read her prose, because I've heard it's really dreamy kind of prose, and it tends to be more symbolic and less literal and more like flowy than F. Scott's. So I'm really interested, because that was the part of his prose that I tended to really like, was when it became more flowy. So I think I'm gonna really like this book. So would love to use it for my physical TBR. My fourth is I would like to go on a book buying ban again. I've done it in the past where I just don't buy books, and I try to always rent from the library or get my books gifted to me. I know that also because I now run a book channel, that it's kind of unrealistic to be like, I'm never buying another book. I want to limit the amount of books that I buy and want them to only be secondhand or from an independent bookstore. So it's kind of a book buying ban, it's kind of not. I want to limit it to maybe 2 books every 6 months. So like 4 books in total. I typically only buy about five books a year in general. I tend to not like to have books that I haven't read, but I think I want to limit it to 4 books, so then if I read a book from the library that I really, really love and want to own a copy of, I can purchase it. So I think I'm gonna do like 4 books that I can buy during the year. But honestly, the last time I gave myself like that kind of leeway, I ended up not buying any books, because I was like, well, I don't want it to be the book that I don't want. Like, I kind of just like ended up being like, I want to save it for a book that I really, really, really want to own a copy of. And also having the little leniency to buy some books, like Rona Jaffe books are out of print, and she's an author I really like. And it's kind of hard to get her books where I currently live, like from library systems. So she might be an author where if I want to continue reading more of her work, I actually do have to purchase it, which is not my favorite thing, but that is just something you have to deal with when you read some kind of older author books. So it's kind of like a book buying ban. I would say it's a book limiting, would be probably more accurate. And my number 5 is I want to read more books outside of my comfort zone. I was starting to do that towards the end of this year anyway, by reading some romance books, but I do want to try more genres and really feel out those genres, because sometimes when I talk to people and I say, oh, I don't like this type of genre, and they're like, why? I can't always articulate why I dislike them, and I think reading them would help me articulate it better, and also if it turned out that I actually liked them, it could change how I feel about them. So I want to go out of my comfort zone in genre, but also in way that I consume my media. I am not an audiobook person. I have never super enjoyed reading an audiobook, but I think that that might be beneficial and interesting to try out, because I do have a really long commute. So I'm not opposed to trying it. I've heard a lot of people say it's the audiobook reader that really makes or breaks your experience. And I've always thought it was because I just like to hear my own voice in my head when I read, but it might be I just have not enjoyed the audiobook reader that I've listened to. So I'd be interested in trying some more audiobooks to kind of see if I like that. Especially, I like to knit, and you can't read a physical book while knitting at the same time, and I would love to be able to consume some media while I'm knitting. I have a really big project, I'll show it. Just sitting off to the side because I do it in this chair. Making this project right now. So like, I definitely would love to be able to be doing this and listening to something at the same time. So I want to try and get out of my comfort zone of genre and way that I consume the media. So those are my 5 goals for 2026. I am really excited for 2026. I think it's going to be really fun. And I would love to hear other people's kind of goals for the new year when it comes to reading. But that is all I have for you today. Bye.